The worst way to catch a cheating wife. I was the best fire rescue specialist. Once during a rescue operation, I was severely injured and was admitted in hospital for 2 months. My ex-wife cheated on me with multiple boys in my house. I was married nearly 20 years ago to my ex-wife. I was a professional firefighter before we met. I began my career when I had been completed my graduation from high school at 17 age and enrolled in fire academy with a parent waiver. Now I am a fourth-generation fireman, and throughout our marriage, working my way as high as battalion chief before requesting demotion back to rescue captain of my department's rescue squad, since that was where all my certifications were in. Once Christmas evening, we received a call for a structure fire at an apartment building. When we got on scene, there was 18 residents unaccounted for. We began rescue operation, and in one unit I found a young husband and wife, got them out, and as a tender changed my air bottle, the young woman sitting with medics began screaming, my baby, my baby." I ran up to her and asked her, "Ma'am, what kind of baby? Am I looking for dog, cat, human, or what?" All she said was my baby over and over, so I ran back in. A short time later I emerged with an infant. As I made my way out, something inside the building blew, sending debris everywhere. I was hit in the back by a piece of wood like a giant splinter. I somehow still made it to the triage area, handed off the baby, and collapsed. That was when the splinter was found, sticking out of me. I was helicoptered to a trauma center. While on the way I passed away twice and revived. I was taken in for emergency surgery. The splinter had nicked my heart and I was dying. My wife was called by my crew and told of what happened, and she told my crew that she was not coming. She had better things to do than to worry about my ploy for her attention, and how I was using my job to try and get into her panties. I was in the hospital for 30 days, as they would not release me until they were sure I was healed enough to return home, in a very rural area, about 60 miles from where I worked and a real hospital. When I was released, I tried to get my wife to pick me up. She told me she didn't have time to make that drive. I had to beg for a ride home, and when I finally found one through one of my crewmates, he accompanied me into my house, making sure I was okay and not alone. We walked through my home looking for my wife, since her minivan was in the driveway. When I opened our bedroom door, I collapsed to my knees as my crewman came up behind me and shouted, "WTF are you doing?" I opened my bedroom door to find my wife in bed. She had a man under her kitty, another behind her butt, and a third in her mouth. At first the thing that hit me most was the one in her butt and mouth, things she never did with me and that I had never tried at all, claiming I was too big and would gag her or hurt her. My friend helped me up. He took me out, then went in and gathered me some clothes to take. He took me to another friend's home where we explained what had transpired. Later on, the friend who was with me when I caught her told me when he went in to get things for me, your ex-wife and her boy were using the toys. They never stopped what they were doing, and he took his cell phone and made a video without them noticing. A few days later, my friends helped me find a lawyer and started the divorce process. Luckily, our kids were already adults now. We didn't have that battle in divorce to put our kids through, because in court, I learned that everyone in our friends group was getting some of my wife except me. She openly admitted to doing every man in town, to the judge, and how I was nothing but a paycheck, and how she always hoped I would die in the line of duty, and she would get that $1 million life insurance we had if I was killed on the job. When we met and throughout life, she was always sweet and naive. She was a little slow in many things. But when her mom lost everything and moved in with us for a while, that's when my wife began to change. Her mom didn't live in the same house the entire time, as we bought a small building and turned it into a little cottage on the back end of our property, so we could have our privacy. Once I moved her mom out back, I noticed the changes in her. It was hard for me to notice red flags, as I was the only one working, and I would work 48 on and 24 off. The normal is 24 on 48 off. But because she refused to work, I had to work double, and even at times a second job to support 5 of us by myself. Wife, 2 kids, Mil, and myself. Since catching her, the home has been sold and everything split. That was mutual property, divided, sold, and split. My crew rallied around me, being there to help me when needed, as well as to help me try to fight my way back to duty status, as well as be there when I need someone to talk to, and so on. Most of these men and women on my crew lived in the city we worked in, so it was an hour drive at least each way to assist me. I worked my ass off to get my career back. I wanted to hit the 35 years of service mark, then retire. When it came time to do my physical to return to duty, I passed, but was subsequently called into the chief's office, where I was told, "Captain, you have 2 choices. 1, you can retire now at 30 years and keep your full pension and benefits, or 2, we will medically retire you and you get half." I stuttered, but I passed my return to duty tests. The answer I received was, Captain, you are one of not the best fire rescue specialist I have ever known, but your age, your injury history, and your recent diagnosis of PTSD, coupled with bipolar, the insurance company will no longer cover you due to high risk. So do you have a decision? I retired and left heartbroken and defeated. When my now ex-wife found out, she began tormenting me over it all, trying to drive me to suicide is my guess, but instead of letting her win, I left the area, began working in animal rescue to help pass time. It was the lowest point of my life. Living in an RV trailer, running an animal rescue, and no one would give me a job. Sure, I didn't need to work, but I needed something to do. I swore off women, except for my sister firefighter. I didn't socialize or date for a long time. I thought I would never be in a relationship again. I didn't know if I could ever trust anyone ever again. Then it happened. I began playing what I guess you would call once of those morp games where I met a woman. We would chat, eventually exchanged numbers. Then 18 months later she decided she wanted to meet me, telling me no way, you're a perv or anything, because no one is going to invest this long to pick a target. This made me laugh harder than I ever had in my life. I'll be honest, I was reluctant at first because we had a 20-year age gap. Plus we were different races. Where I live, interracial relationships are still shunned. Yes, it's Redneckville, USA, and basically still the Stone Age in many ways here, but I agreed to meet her. I can say it was the best decision of my life. She was everything I could dream of and more. She was old-fashioned like me. She was raised and believed a woman's #1 job was her spouse and family, not money and a career. I have no problem with a working woman, but regardless, man or woman, family should always come before career or anything else. I guess it's kind of ironic in some way. I lost my dad to the Vietnam War, and here I am now married to a Vietnamese woman, expecting our first child November of 2021. Cheating is horrible and maybe the worst thing we can go through. But please remember, it is not the end of the world. Nor are all men or women the same as you cheating spouse. The keys are making time for you. Get help and find yourself again. Take your time and remember, something better is out there looking for you too. Suicide is never an answer. Giving up should not be an option. You are strong, you can do it. A life can be rebuilt and become a newer, better one. Remember, life and love will always find a way.